You go into the pet store, you tell them you're thinking about keeping a fish, you want to keep a betta fish. You tell them you want to get a 10-gallon tank for it. They're going to say, okay, set the tank up, let it run, come back in a couple weeks, that way the tank is getting cycled. Well, here's the problem with that. They forgot to tell you one key fact about cycling a tank. Tank is not going to cycle properly unless there's some type of waste in it. Now, the whole point of the nitrogen cycle, which is what we call the cycling of the tank, is you start with your ammonia. Your ammonia gets broken down by the nitrites. Your nitrites go up, your ammonia goes down. Your nitrates go up, your nitrites go down. You want the nitrates. You don't want nitrites or ammonia present in your tank. Now, there are a couple of ways you can cycle a tank. Option 1 is how I've always done it. You fill your tank up, you put a little bit of fish food in there, you let that break down, the tank will start to cycle. The food breaks down, I usually wait about a week, and then I will add some fish. I usually get something hardy, like brass boar, that's a nice schooling fish. The fish will dispose themselves, and the ammonia will go up. Now at this point, as the ammonia goes up, you're going to want to keep your ammonia at less than, this is again personally speaking here, 0.5 parts per million. Now I say that because you want to keep some ammonia in the tank, but you don't want to keep too much ammonia in the tank or it injures your fish. I've cycled fish tanks with fish in multiple times now. I've never lost a fish during the cycling process. Took a second to pause here while I'm editing, listening to this back. I have lost fish while cycling, but since I came back and know more about the cycle, I haven't lost fish. Like before, I didn't know what the nitrogen cycle was. I didn't know what pneumonia and all that stuff was. So ammonia, duh. So years ago, I lost fish during the cycling process because I didn't know what the cycling process was. But since I've come back to the hobby, I've cycled all of my tanks except one with fish in. Haven't lost anybody, so we're good. Just wanted to throw that in here so people didn't think that I was like, oh, I've never lost a fish before. Okay, back to the video. Way to do this is water changes. You might have to water change every day. You might have to water change every other day. But you're going to want to keep the ammonia levels at 0.5 parts per million or less. If you want to do it safer, keep it at 0.25. But 0.25 or 0.5, you'll be fine. Again, editing high. By fine, I mean that you'll be at far less risk than if you let it get higher. Like if you let your tank sit at 4 parts per million constantly without water changing it because you want the cycle to go through, your fish are all going to die. They're all going to get ammonia poisoning. Their gills are all going to get red and they're just going to die of ammonia poisoning. You'll be like, what happened? So yeah, by be safe, I mean if you keep it at 5.0 or under, you should be at less risk of that happening. Again, certain fish are more susceptible to ammonia. That's why the fish I recommended it in previous videos are the more hardier variety. I would never recommend doing this with like discus or something that's a little more finicky. But for normal fish that you're going to find at Petco and PetSmart, you'll be fine to keep it at 0.5 or under. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Now there are a couple things you can use to help you with your cycling process. There is C-Chem stability, which you can add during your cycling process to give yourself some beneficial bacteria in there. There is Fritz 7-zyme, which is nitrifying bacteria as well. There is also API Quick Start. Now, I have used all these products. I have never had any success just putting these in the tank to, quote, instantly cycle, as it kind of says on some of the boxes. I have used them in conjunction with water changes. Where these products have come in handy for me is when you add more fish once your tank is quote-unquote established and you've cycled it. When you increase that bio load, you're not going to have enough nitrates in the tank to handle the new increase in ammonia. So you'll notice your tank might get a little cloudy, like a murky white color, creamy color. If you add the Quick Start, the Stability, or the Fritz Zyme during that, you'll notice that the tank catches up much quicker and it saves you from having to do as many water changes. Personally, I've had more success during this phase with the Quick Start and Fritz Zyme than I have with the Stability, but I'm sure they all work relatively the same. Then it's the same process with your nitrates. Once you notice that your ammonia has gone down to 0 and your nitrites have started coming up, you want to do the same thing. You don't want to let those get above 0.5 parts per million. Again, 0.25 is better, but if you keep it below 0.5, you should be fine and not have any issues. Same deal. Water change 50% or more to keep it down. So if you're at 0.5 and you want to bring it down to 0.25, do a 50% water change. If you're at 0.25, you can still do a 50% change and it just probably won't show up on your testing kit. And then in a couple more weeks, you'll notice that your nitrites are going down and your nitrates are going up. Now your nitrates are what you want. Nitrates are going to be what's in the tank that helps keep things in balance and prevents you from having a buildup of the others. So that's your first way of cycling a tank, which is the fish in way. Option 2 would be to do a fishless cycle. A fishless cycle, you're going to put the tank up where you want it. You're going to add your substrate. You're going to fill it up with water. You're going to put your dechlorinator in it. You're going to turn your filter on, and you're not going to put any fish in it until it's cycled. What you are going to put in there is some type of ammonia source. By this I mean fish food. So take a pinch full of fish food flakes or some pellets or whatever kind of fish food you have, throw it in the tank, then you set it and forget it. Don't even look at the tank for 4 weeks. Every week, just throw a little pinch of food in. Little pinch, little pinch, little pinch. As the food breaks down, same process. Ammonia goes up, then as the ammonia comes down, the nitrates go up, and then as your nitrates go down, the nitrates go up, and then you're just gonna have nitrates to worry about. Now the reason I say set it and forget it is because once you throw that food in and you're consistently giving the bacteria something to feed on, you really don't have to check it that often because you don't have fish in there to worry about. So wait about 4 weeks would be the earliest you might see nitrates. The typical cycling process I found takes about 6 weeks minimum, sometimes a little more depending. But you're basically doing the first choice to cycle without any fish in at this time, because if you're more apprehensive about not being able to keep up with your water changes, then by all means do the fishless cycle. It is technically the safer option, especially if you're super new to fish keeping and you've never done it before. Now option 3 is still a fishless cycle. The only difference is instead of using fish food, you're putting pure ammonia in your tank. I have personally never gone this route, so I don't know as much about this option. All I know is you do the same things you do before. You put your gravel, put the water in, turn your filter on, and then you find some source of pure ammonia. Now, I do know of a product. It is a Fritz product. It is called Fritz Fishless Fuel. It's in a liquid ammonia solution, which as far as I know is just like a liquid ammonia in a box. So you put that in your tank and it's good to go. The only place I've seen carry it is keepfishkeeping.com. I will put a link in the description to that though for you. But yeah, those are the 3 ways that I know of to cycle a tank. There are some shortcuts beyond the bacterias in a bottle. Another option to help quickly cycle your tank would be to get some already cycled medium from a friend or a fish store. So basically you go in, you say, hey, do you have any sponges or anything that I could have? Or dirty fish tank water. By dirty water, I mean like if they like just wrung out their sponges or their sponge filters and they have all that goopy, brown, disgusting water, that's what you want, because that's got all like their old gunky bacteria and food and stuff in it. Bring it home, dump it in your tank, and it'll kind of instantly cycle. It'll speed up the process a little bit. I would recommend it going from a friend that you know keeps their fish healthy, because if you go to the fish store, there might be something going on in the water you don't want in your fish tank. But besides the chemicals in a bottle, that's really the only shortcut that I know of to cycle your tanks faster. But again, this process on average takes, again, personally speaking, about 6 to 8 weeks to fully cycle a tank. That'll also depend on the size and everything. For instance, my 20-gallon, when I was first cycling, it took me about 10 weeks for the nitrates to finally stop spiking. There was a while there where they're up around 80 parts per million, which is super high. My 30-gallon tank that I did a fishless cycle in took about a month and a half to cycle, so about 6 weeks. The only reason I did a fishless cycle for that one is it's an African cichlid tank, and I didn't want to add the fish while it was still cycling, as I'd never owned them before. So just to recap: ammonia bad, nitrate bad, nitrates good. Your cycle's going to start off with nothing, meaning if you go and test your water the day you set your tank up, or even 3 or 4 days after you set your tank up, you're probably going to get 0, 0, and 0 for every stat when you test, which is accurate because you've done nothing to your tank yet. Then as the weeks go on, so probably week 2 or week 3, you'll see your ammonias spike super high. You'll see it up in those deep 2.0 or 4.0 range. And in a couple more weeks, you'll see your ammonia has slowly started to fall off, and your nitrates are now doing that, where they're going up and up consistently. And then again, 2 or 3 weeks later, you'll notice that your nitrates are slowly coming down while your nitrates are going up. Now again, you want your ammonia at 0, you want your nitrates at 0. You want to keep your nitrates around 20 to 40 parts per million is the max that I would put them at. I have some tanks that sit at 40, some sit at 20, so you want to keep them at 40 or lower. A lot of people are going to tell you that 40 is too high. So for a new time fish keeper, I'm going to say try and keep them around 20, but if it gets up a little higher, you're not that bad off. Just do a water change, like 50%, and you should be fine. Even nitrates can be damaging to fish. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. leave a comment. Either way, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Feel free to message me on Instagram if you have any other questions that I can answer. Instagram handle's the same as everything else, Lefty3213A. Also, in case you missed it on the last video, I do have a business now. Woo, 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 woo. It's battlefrontier.com. There's a hyphen in the middle. It's for cards and hobby stuff. With that, I am streaming every Wednesday on Twitch. That is also Lefty3213A. If you want to come by, hang out, we open stuff, we play games. It's a cool little stream. Kind of like the stream I do with Ed on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you're going to be in Aquashella, Chicago this coming weekend, you'll see me there. I'll have some stickers and stuff for people if they want any. Catch you guys in the next one.